I was 17 and I got pregnant. The decision was taken to go to England and get a termination. Something went wrong during the procedure because I woke up halfway through and I wanted to get off the table, you know, the operating table. And they said, no. And they put me back down, and I think they hurried up. They rushed the operation because the day after, when I left, I was in pain. And then when I was on the aeroplane, I started heavily bleeding with lots of blood clots.
I was close to my 44th birthday. So I discussed it with my husband, and we both decided that for our family and for our 4 children, the best thing would be to have a termination. It's something hard mostly because you can't share it with anyone in Malta. So you have to carry a secret, like you've done something really wrong.
Words from women afraid to be identified, who would never speak out in the open. In Malta, having an abortion is a criminal offence, punishable by up to 3 years in jail, even in cases of rape and when there are health risks, an issue smothered in silence.
Abortion in Malta is very much a taboo subject. I've made repeated efforts, including here in my hotel room, to try and convince people to talk to us, especially those who want to decriminalise abortion. They exist, they're active on social media, but speaking openly is just out of the question.
But Paul Vincenti didn't hesitate. He's a businessman and a leading figure in Malta's pro-life movement, heading up the Gift of Life Foundation. His message is clear.
To me and the majority of the people in Malta who believe that life begins at conception, it's unthinkable that we could kill another human being just because they're wanted or unwanted. We see ourselves as pro-life, not anti-abortion. It's wrong to kill. It's wrong to kill a child, but it's right to support and help a mother who may be in that situation.
In Malta, home to 450,000 people, motherhood is a cult. This centre is currently helping around 50 teenage mothers, aged between 12 and 18. It's run under the Ministry of Education. Those here receive support during pregnancy and the early stages of motherhood.
The program itself is a program that helps them in awareness, also not only to take their role as young mothers, but also as students and also as women, and also maybe as possible partners in a relationship and in their families.
Now a teacher, Deborah Bartolu returns to help out at the centre after receiving support herself 5 years ago.
It really does help. We passed through a full program where we emerged as stronger human beings. And I believe that every life deserves to be born, and every life deserves to be appreciated. And it was my responsibility. What can you do? If you seek help, you will find it and you will be able to do it.
But not everyone can or wants to follow this path. The only option left for them is to travel to abortion clinics in the UK or nearby Sicily. Clandestine abortions are rare, if not non-existent in Malta. Those who carry them out can be jailed for up to 4 years and lose their licence. Abortion is rarely talked about in the medical community. Speaking openly would cost this doctor her reputation, perhaps her job.
Most people who are adamant to have an abortion are having it anyway. And I have known of people traveling back sedated, bleeding. It is a fact. One of the perhaps easier to discuss issues is abortions which are denied to mothers who know they are carrying fetuses with no chance of survival. I myself have seen in the same few hours 2 children being born with anencephaly, which is being born without a brain, and Edwards syndrome, which is not compatible with life. And they were the mothers who carried them then had to watch them die in incubators. How do you get over that? How do you have a life after that?
Eleanor Borge is a psychotherapist. She runs a program initiated by the Gift of Life organisation to support pregnant women in crisis situations, as well as women who choose to abort. Eleanor says trauma is inevitable.
Because Malta, abortion is illegal, and there's a lot of fear of judgment possibly from people. If, for example, I went through the experience, I might be afraid to share that I have been through the experience of abortion. So then I keep it to myself. And I don't have the possibility of healing because I don't grieve. The experience is kept within, the symptoms get worse over the years, and there are a lot of implications on the woman's life.
Having to do everything in secret, being so afraid you're going to get caught, being so afraid of the consequences of what people are going to talk about you in such a small community. These are traumas. It's not an easy choice, and we should not be put in a position like I was when I was 17 years old, you know, so vulnerable, so afraid, so ashamed. It was the best decision at the time. It was. I don't regret the decision.
I don't regret it. I was pro-life before, you know, I never thought it would happen to me, you know, but it did. It can happen to anyone. I'm not a criminal. I'm a loving mother, and I think I did it mostly because I care about my 4 children.
For now, the Maltese government is not considering any relaxation of the ban. In power and opposition, the two major political parties both reject that, and so do 60% of the Maltese, according to a recent survey.
We have seen over the years certain groups within society who are moving, in fact, 60% against is already showing a change, because up to some years ago it was much higher. However, both political parties keep the same position. So this is why I say, if anything, we need to have a public debate. If the group who would like to see any change has to work for it.
Under the Labour government, laws allowing civil unions for same-sex couples and the right to choose gender identity without conditions have been voted in. But with abortion, public debate remains a challenge, a reluctance to change, attributed in part to values of Catholicism. But that's not all.
Sociologists we've contacted didn't want to meet us, so ultimately it's here in the village of Zabar, whose patron saint is the Madonna, that we see some light in the street of the Immaculate Conception.
If pregnancy is so sacred and abortion such an untouchable topic, religion alone does not explain it, one social policy researcher tells us. A fear of imposing values seen as detrimental to those of Malta's identity was a central concern as it joined the EU.
The size of Malta is very small, so elements of social control in terms of social stigma tend to be also much more poignant than bigger societies. It's also an island that has been colonized for 7,000 years. There is this element of a fear of being invaded. It's not just physical invasion, but it's also this element of conceptual invasion. This idea that our thoughts, our lifestyle, our national identity, our behaviors will be eroded because of the influences of more liberal countries.
But they're influences that some do aspire to. While pro-choice groups remain covert, others want a public debate on the morning after pill, which is also banned in Malta. It's one of the many issues discussed in a women-only Facebook group run by Francesca.
The morning after pill and emergency contraception and women's reproductive rights are something that we need to discuss.
We need more women especially to come out and speak up. I believe that if we want the change, we need to speak up for it.
At least we want to start talking about the possibility of having a choice. Exactly. Exactly, the choices available are actually dangerous because most women take a sort of emergency contraception, one pill that is over the counter in other countries. They take an extra and a big amount of the normal contraceptive pill, and this can be dangerous as well. So we want to start an informed discussion. So we hope we are the beginning of some changes in Malta for the future, for women in Malta.